Good morning. I'd like to introduce myself, tell you about the Louisburg project, invite you to help, and ask you to join along. My name is Chris. I grew up in Colorado. My dad worked in the automobile industry, and when I was in high school, the plant he worked at was closing down, so we had to move. The closest place we could move to find work was Kansas City, and we settled in a town called Stanley, Kansas, about 15 miles north of here. It was a small rural community that was on the southern edge of the greater Kansas City metro area. It was pastoral. There was cattle, there was soy, there was corn, sod farms. Horses would walk down streets. There was an old bank built in the 1800s. There was a restaurant called Joe's Barn. Guess what? It was in a barn. I think Joe must have owned it. They served fried chicken, family style. The staff wore denim overalls. There was a small family-owned grocery store as well. Not much else. Eventually, urban expansion kept going south, and the city of Stanley was incorporated into Overland Park, Kansas, the second largest city in the state of Kansas. I found myself going off to college where I met my wife, and after college we decided that we should move to Kansas City to start our careers and grow our family. And we did so with a lot of love and care. Eventually, my kids were getting ready to graduate high school, and my wife and I realized we'd like a little elbow room. So we started to look around. We wanted to move back to Stanley, back to those days of the late 80s, early 90s that I loved. Unfortunately, that Stanley didn't exist anymore. But Louisburg did. Louisburg was, again, another 20 miles down the road or so, very much like Stanley was back in the late 80s. We moved back here in 2019, just ahead of the pandemic, and we're very happy we did. We were surrounded with good people, a lot of outdoor activity, good neighbors, fun town. We didn't have to leave for anything. The Louisburg Project is a lo-fi, independently funded documentary about a place in America. Maybe you live in a Louisburg. Maybe it's not called Louisburg, but you probably do live there. What I want to do over the next year is document the lives, stories, events, happenings of this community. And maybe that will find resonance with a wider audience. Louisburg is a town of about 5,000 people. Southern expansion continues. City's grown by over 6% in the last 5 years. There's a lot of tension between people who live here and people like myself who want to live here. There used to be a sign as you pulled into town. It said, "Welcome to Louisburg, where people live by choice." I want to lean into that a little bit. I want to find out what choices people make to live in Louisburg. I really have 3 things that I want to explore, and we'll see where this takes me. 1 is, what did Louisburg used to be like? 2, what is Louisburg like right now, today? And 3, how can Louisburg be? I believe that there are 4 chapters to every story. There's the way things ought to be, the way things are, the way things can be, and the way things will be. And the Louisburg Project is simply applying that lens to the community I live in. The other thing that's important to note is that the Louisburg Project is an experiment. So I work in the film industry. I'm an assistant director. For those of you that don't know what an assistant director is, they're the person that's responsible for planning, organizing, and running a film set. It's not necessarily a creative position. It's more like a job foreman. One of my best friends builds homes, and we've decided that that's what I do. Is I'm the job foreman. If film doesn't work out, I like to get a job with my buddy Travis. I think I could apply those skills there. Long story short, I'm not a creative. I don't know how to operate a camera. I know how much it rents for. I know the day rate of the girl that can run it. but I don't know how to do it. See, film has had an incredible cost of entry just to practice. It's an art form that's only been around for 150 years. Compare that to painting. We see cave paintings back thousands of years ago. For the Mona Lisa, it just took a guy, a brush, a canvas, a model, and a Da Vinci. That's it. For a film, if you ever stay through the end credits of any feature film, you'll see how many people it takes to make a film. DPs, gaffers, best boys, script supervisors, visual effects supervisors. The list goes on and on. That is prohibitive for most people who want to tell a story. But technology's changed a lot. So part of this experiment is me telling a story about the world that I live in using my phone, my laptop, some $200 worth of stuff I bought at Best Buy, a $200 drone I bought at a furniture store, and software I downloaded for free on the internet. That's it, nothing special. It's gonna be raw. It's not gonna be great, promise you that, but it will be a document and it will tell a story that I wanna tell. So here's my request. If you live in Louisburg, reach out to me. I'd like to film you. I'd like to hear your story. I'd like to hear you answer the questions of how this place used to be, how it is now, and how it can be. Maybe you are doing something that's interesting. A lot of people don't think that plowing fields is interesting, but there are some of us out here who do. Maybe you'd invite me to come around and film you working the farm. Maybe you'd are a police officer and wouldn't allow me to come on a ride-along as we explore the city. I'm open to your suggestions. I'd also like to highlight the businesses that make this town special. I'd like to interview the people who make this town a home, and I'd like for your help. The last thing I want to say is that I've created some social channels. I have a YouTube channel, the Louisburg Project. I have an Instagram page, the Louisburg Project, and I have a Facebook group, the Louisburg Project. Or you can always email me at thelouisburgproject@gmail.com. I'd like to reach out. I'd like to meet my neighbors. I'd like to build this community, and I'd like to see what we can do together. So for the next year, follow along. Let me know about stuff that's happening. Invite me to your church youth group. Invite me to your planting day, your harvest day. Let's make something cool. Let's tell the Louisburg story. I'm standing here at a place that I like to come a lot. It's an old bridge on Rogers Road. One car, wooden slats, graffiti everywhere. As long as I've been coming here, there's been graffiti up here. Kids who want to make their place in this world known, spray paint, and eventually younger kids with new spray paint over it. Every year, somebody else wanting to make their mark on the world visits this bridge and does something. Eventually, there'll be younger kids with newer spray paint that will put new stuff on these walls. That's just how it goes. Thanks for your time.